Hi math students! This is an introduction video for our lesson on adding and subtracting integers. The first part is all about vocabulary. The main two words you're going to hear in this lesson are integer and sign. Integer just means we're going to be talking about positive and negative numbers in this lesson. You know, when you think about numbers and you count down 3, 2, 1, 0, numbers don't stop at 0. You can have negative numbers as well. You can think in real life about money or temperature, and so the focus of this lesson is going to be doing math with those negative numbers. The other word you're going to hear a lot in this lesson is the word sign. When you talk about sign, it just means we're talking about is that number positive or negative. The rest of this introduction video is going to focus on how you do math with integers. And so there's two ways you can think of it. If you are a visual person, you can think about doing math on a number line, and we'll do lots of examples with that. And if you are a verbal person, we've got two rules you can follow. Starting with problems where the signs are the same. So for example, in the problem -2 minus 3, the two numbers here both have minus signs in front. I've got a -2, and then that minus sign I'm going to think of as a negative sign, and a -3 here. So they are the same. In order to solve this problem, I can add those two numbers. The 2 plus 3 gives me 5. And keep the sign. I keep that negative sign right there. On a number line, what this looks like for -2 minus 3 is starting at -2, and then if you subtract 3, subtracting 3 means you're going backwards, you're going to the left. So if I go back 3, I'm going back 1, 2, 3, and I'm at that -5. If you start in the negative and you have another negative, you're just getting a bigger negative number. The other rule we have is if the signs are different. So for example, if I gave you -2 plus 3. For -2 plus 3, those signs are different. We've got a -2 and a +3. So the rule says here we would want to subtract those numbers. So in my head, I'm thinking 3 minus 2. That gives me a 1. And then I would keep the sign of the bigger number. Here, 3 is bigger, 3 is positive, so I would keep my answer positive, and my answer would be a +1. I don't need to put a plus sign there to show it's positive. We've learned if you see something like this, like a plain 1, it just means +1. On our number line, what that would look like is starting again at -2, but this time we're adding 3. When you're adding, you're moving forward on the number line. You're getting bigger on the number line. You're going to the right. And so if I wanted to add 3, I'm going 1, 2, 3, and notice we stop at the number 1. So two different ways to think about these problems here. Feel free to try these practice problems both ways to figure out which way you like thinking about them the most, which way works best for you. There are 8 practice problems down here on the bottom. I'm going to encourage you to follow along with these first 4 and then pause the video to try these last 4 on your own. For this first one here, 3 minus 7, if I'm thinking about it on our number line, I'm starting at the number 3 and I'm subtracting 7. So I'm going this way, 7. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm stopping at -4. If I'm using the rules, 3 minus 7, I've got a +3 and a -7. Those are different signs, so I would subtract those numbers. 3 minus 7 gives me 4, and then I'm keeping the sign of the bigger number. 7 here is bigger, 7 is negative, so I'm keeping that negative sign. The next one for -4 plus 2, I'm going to start with the rule this time. Here, -4 and a +2, those are different signs, so I'm going to be subtracting again. If I subtract a 4 and a 2, that gives me the number 2. And then I want to keep the sign of the bigger number. Here my 4 is bigger, it's negative, so I keep my answer negative. On our number line, we're starting at -4 and I'm adding 2. So I go to the right 2, go 1, 2, and I stop right there at the -2. The next one, we've got -1 plus -2. Here, both of those numbers are negative. Please don't be afraid of the parentheses there. Just sometimes we see negative numbers in parentheses to help us know it's a negative sign and not a minus sign. I'm just going to focus on those two numbers. We've got a -1 and a -2, so they are the same. They are both negative. Means I'm adding those numbers and keeping that negative sign. And then for our last one, we've got -2 plus 9. I've got different signs again here, a -2 and a +9. Different signs means I'm subtracting, and I'm keeping the sign of my bigger number. 9 is bigger, 9 is positive, so my 7 would be positive. I've got these 4 over here. Please pause the video to try those now. You can use the number line, or you can use these rules here. And there are the answers for those last 4. Hopefully you're leaving this video with an idea of if you like using the number line or the rules. I do think the problem with the number line is if I gave you something like -53 plus 107, that's going to be really hard to do on the number line. But I do like how it gives you an idea of which direction you're going with the math. I also want to point out this can be really challenging for students because it's like we're changing the rules on you. Notice I see a plus sign, but I'm telling you to subtract those numbers. I see a minus sign, but I'm telling you to add those numbers. It takes some time and a lot of practice to get good at this, and so that's what this lesson is going to be all about. I hope you feel ready for today's lesson. Thanks so much for watching.